Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. The biggest enemy you'll ever face isn't out there. It's sitting right between your ears. Your mind is the real battlefield, not your family, not your haters. It's your own mind that's killing your potential. You wake up tired. You tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. That's the war. You want to chase your goals, but your brain whispers, what if you fail? That's the war. You get a little success, and suddenly you feel comfortable. That's when you start losing, because comfort is the enemy of greatness. The war isn't loud, it's silent. It's those quiet thoughts when no one's watching. The moment you want to quit early, scroll mindlessly, skip your workout, or not take the risk, that's the battlefield. And every time you fold, you're teaching your mind that weakness wins. You think strength is about muscles, cars, or cash. No, strength is when you feel like quitting but still go. It's when your mind says, I can't, and you respond with, watch me. You were born into a world that wants you obedient, tired, and distracted. Schools trained you to follow, not lead. Social media trained you to consume, not build. That's the war. And if you don't fight it, you'll die with regret, not because you couldn't succeed, but because you never took control of your mind. Reprogram yourself. Rebuild your mindset. Choose discipline over dopamine. Choose power over excuses. Your mind will either be your weapon or your coffin. That's your choice. This war isn't once. It's daily. It's every damn morning. And if you don't win it, don't cry about the life you didn't earn. So ask yourself right now, are you the commander of your mind or are you its slave? Your mind is the battlefield, not the world, not your circumstances, not your competitors, not your enemies. Everything that happens outside of you is a reflection of what's already happening inside. Until you realize that, you'll always blame others. You'll say life is unfair, you'll say you're unlucky, you'll say others have it easier. But the truth is, as the war is in your mind, and unless you learn how to win that war every single day, nothing in your external reality will ever change. People chase money, success, fame, power, thinking that if they fix the outside, the inside will automatically feel better. But the man who hasn't mastered his thoughts is a slave, no matter how much money he makes. You can have a mansion, but if you've got a defeated mindset, you'll still feel like a prisoner. Every morning you wake up, the war begins. It doesn't wait for your coffee. It doesn't care about your to-do list. It doesn't care if you're tired. The first thoughts that enter your head are either weapons or wounds. Either they fuel you to take action, or they drain you before your feet even touch the floor. And the scariest part, most people don't even know they're at war. They walk around thinking life is happening to them, not realizing their thoughts are steering the entire ship. If your thoughts are negative, weak, full of fear and excuses, then your actions will follow the same path. A defeated mind can never build a victorious life. You see, everyone wants to change their life, but they don't want to do the uncomfortable internal work. They want external success with an average mindset. They want strength without struggle. That's not how war works. The strongest warriors aren't the ones with the best weapons. They're the ones who've trained their minds to keep going when everything in them screams stop. You can't fight the world until you win the war within. You can't build discipline, confidence, clarity, or control until you first break the lazy, fearful, insecure patterns you've let live rent free in your head. And let's be honest, your mind has been under attack for years. From school, from media, from people around you, you've been told to play it safe, to follow the rules, to settle for less, to be humble, to not stand out. You've been programmed to believe that greatness is for someone else, that you're just supposed to survive, not dominate. So the war isn't just against weakness. It's against years of mental conditioning that have convinced you you're not capable. But you are. You've just been out of the fight for too long. So what do? You stop lying to yourself. You stop saying, I'll start tomorrow. You stop waiting to feel motivated. You wake up and go to war. You fight every weak thought, every lazy urge. Every excuse that creeps in, you replace them with power, with action, with belief. You decide that your mind is your strongest weapon, not your biggest enemy. And every single day you sharpen it, because that's how winners are built. Vraxoi in silence, in struggle, in the daily war no one else sees. This war is forever. There's no final battle. You win by showing up. You win by choosing strength when your mind screams weakness. You win by making your thoughts obey your mission. Because once you own your mind, you own your life. And nothing, no failure, no setback, no critic can take that from you. The war is in your mind. Either you conquer it, or it conquers you. There is no middle ground. Weak thoughts create a weak life. It's not your lack of resources. It's not your environment. It's not your upbringing or the people around you holding you back. It's the weak, passive, self-defeating thoughts you allow to live in your mind every single day. Most people walk around feeding themselves poison in the form of doubt, fear, laziness, and comfort. And then they wonder why they're stuck, why their life feels like it's going nowhere. Here's the truth. Your external reality is nothing but the mirror of your internal dialogue. You think small, you act small. You think like a victim, you live like one. You think the world owes you something, you end up with nothing. That's how it works. You have to understand that thoughts aren't just ideas. They are orders. They shape your decisions, your energy, your body language, your daily habits, everything. If you keep telling yourself you're tired, guess what? You'll stop pushing. You'll slow down. You'll quit early. If you tell yourself you're not smart enough, you won't try. If you tell yourself people like you don't succeed, you won't even get in the fight. And here's the most dangerous part. Most of these thoughts don't come from logic. They come from emotion, from fear, from insecurity. And they masquerade as facts, but they're lies. Lies that your mind keeps feeding you until you accept them as truth. Weak thoughts aren't just thoughts of failure. They're thoughts of comfort too. The voice that says, you've done enough today. The whisper that says, you can start tomorrow. That's weakness wearing a mask. And every time you listen to it, you get a little softer. You think it doesn't matter, but every skipped workout, every delayed goal, every excuse compounds. Days become weeks. Weeks become years. Then one day you wake up, look in the mirror, and you don't recognize yourself. Not because your face changed, but because your mind did. You stopped commanding it, and it started controlling you. On the flip side, strong thoughts build strong lives. Thoughts like, I can figure it out, even when you've never done it before. I will not quit. Even when everything feels stacked against you. I don't care how I feel. I'll get it done. These are not just motivational phrases. They're building blocks of resilience. They're weapons that cut through fear. They are the core of discipline. And here's the thing: strong people don't magically think strong thoughts. They train their minds like a warrior trains with a sword. Repetition, pain, struggle. They've been through hell and refuse to let weak thoughts win. That's the difference. If you want to change your life, don't start with a vision board. Don't start with goals. Start with your thoughts. Monitor them like a soldier on patrol. The moment weakness creeps in, kill it, replace it, reprogram it. Because the mind doesn't care what's true. It believes whatever you feed it consistently. Feed it strength and it becomes strong. Feed it weakness and it becomes soft. You have to decide what kind of mind you want, because that decision will shape the rest of your life. Your life is the result of your strongest thoughts. If those thoughts are rooted in strength, in accountability, in hunger, then your life will reflect that. But if they're based on fear, laziness, and excuses, don't be surprised when your life becomes average. Don't be surprised when success feels out of reach. You built that thought by thought. So if you want a different life, you must first build a different mind, because weak thoughts will never lead you to a powerful destiny. Period. Discipline is the sword that wins mental wars. Without discipline, you're nothing but a slave to your emotions, your urges, and your excuses. Discipline is the separator. It's the reason some men build empires while others scroll their lives away. It's the reason why some people achieve greatness and others sit on the sidelines complaining about how hard life is. You can have all the motivation in the world, but if you don't have discipline, you're finished. Motivation is a mood. Discipline is a decision. Motivation is unreliable. It disappears the moment things get uncomfortable. But discipline shows up whether you feel like it or not. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you're afraid. Discipline just gets it done. Think about a soldier. A real one. He doesn't wait to feel inspired before going to battle. He trains. He prepares. He moves every single day. Because he understands that in war, hesitation is death. And your mind is no different. The moment you hesitate to dominate your thoughts, you've already lost. Discipline gives you the edge. It sharpens your actions. It hardens your mindset. It turns chaos into control. People think they can build a strong life by doing what they feel like doing. That's weakness disguised as freedom. Real freedom comes from self-control. Real power comes from knowing you can destroy every excuse that comes up with cold, calculated, consistent action. Most people will never know what it feels like to live with full discipline because it requires killing comfort. It requires war against your own mind. It means waking up early when you want to sleep in. It means eating clean when junk is easier. It means working when others rest, showing up when you're exhausted, and executing when your emotions beg for escape. That's the real war. It's not glamorous. It's not Instagrammable. No one claps for it. But it's the only path to mastery. You want to build a body that commands respect. Discipline. You want to grow a business that changes your family's future. Discipline. You want to become the type of person people can't ignore. Discipline. You want to break free from anxiety, self-doubt, overthinking. Discipline. You want peace of mind. Again, discipline. Because every time you conquer your impulses, your confidence grows. Every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, you build trust in yourself. And when you trust yourself, your mind becomes a weapon, unshakable, lethal. On the other hand, lack of discipline destroys silently. You skip one day, you cut one corner, you break one promise. It seems small, but it compounds. Suddenly you're off track, weak, undisciplined, and it becomes your identity. You start to believe that you're someone who always starts but never finishes. And guess what? Your mind listens. Your body listens. Your results reflect it. That's why every small decision matters. That's why you can't afford to negotiate with weakness. Discipline is earned in the trenches. It's the act of choosing your purpose over your pleasure, your mission over your mood. It's saying no to what you want now so you can get what you really want later. And the beautiful thing, discipline doesn't require talent. It doesn't care about where you come from. Anyone can choose it. But only a few do. Because only a few are willing to bleed for greatness. So if you want to win the war in your mind, stop chasing motivation. Stop waiting to feel ready. Pick up the sword of discipline and go to war with every thought, habit, and distraction that tries to pull you off your path. Because the moment you do that, the moment you act in spite of how you feel, is the moment you take control. And that control becomes unstoppable. Pain is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally if you learn how to use it. Everyone runs from pain. They treat discomfort like it's some disease to be cured. But the truth is, pain is a compass. It shows you exactly where your weakness lies. It reveals where the war is being lost inside your mind. Every time something hurts, mentally, physically, emotionally, it's not a signal to quit. It's a signal to look closer, to lean in, to get sharper, stronger. You don't build power in comfort. You build it in fire. And pain is the fire that forges warriors. Most people let pain control them. A little heartbreak and they shut down emotionally. A bad day at the gym and they stop showing up. Someone criticizes them and they go quiet. But those who win, those who dominate life, they don't run from pain. They walk straight into it. They use it. They ask, what is this trying to teach me? Where can I grow from this? How do I turn this into fuel? You have to realize that pain isn't the end. It's the beginning. It's where real change starts. And if you avoid it, you avoid transformation. Every great transformation comes with suffering. The athlete suffers in silence while training. The entrepreneur suffers through setbacks and failure. The fighter suffers through cuts, bruises, and exhaustion. But through that pain, they develop something the weak will never understand: unbreakable willpower. The kind of mindset that doesn't break when things get hard, because it was built in hardship. People who live soft lives collapse the moment they're tested. But those who've embraced pain as a teacher, as a partner, they don't flinch. Because they've been there. They've felt worse. And they know pain is temporary, but the strength it builds lasts forever. Stop seeing pain as a punishment. Start seeing it as preparation. Pain is your opportunity to rise while others fall. It's a doorway most people will never walk through. But if you have the courage to face it, and not just face it, but embrace it, you gain access to a level of power most will never touch. That emotional breakdown you went through, it built your emotional endurance. That physical injury, it taught you to adapt, to listen, to grow. That betrayal, it showed you who to trust, and more importantly, how to trust yourself. When life punches you in the face and you decide to stand up anyway, that's how you win. Not by avoiding the punch, not by crying about it, but by saying, is that all you've got? That mindset, that grit, that refusal to fold, it's built from choosing to stay in the pain until it transforms you. Until you become the person that pain was meant to build. Here's the truth: pain is not optional. It's coming for you whether you like it or not. Life doesn't care about your plans, your comfort, your dreams. It's going to hit you again and again. The only choice you have is what to do with that pain. Let it break you or let it build you. Let it make you bitter or let it make you better. Every time you choose the second option, you level up. So next time you feel the pain creeping in, don't run, don't hide. Don't numb it with distraction. Sit with it. Face it, use it. Because inside that pain is a message, a mission, and a version of you that's hungrier, sharper, and more dangerous than you've ever been. But you'll never find him if you keep turning away. The warrior you're meant to become lies on the other side of pain. And if you want him, you have to earn him. Most people lose the war in their minds because they're constantly seeking validation. They want to be told they're good enough. They crave applause, likes, compliments, the external pat on the back that says, you're doing great. But here's the hard truth. The moment you need validation, you give away your power. You're no longer leading your life, you're following approval. And the people who live like that, they're easy to break, easy to manipulate, easy to stop. They live in fear of judgment, terrified of what others will say, if they fail, if they look stupid, if they go all in and don't get the results fast. So instead of making bold moves, they shrink. Instead of owning their path, they copy others. Instead of rising, they settle. But true warriors of the mind don't move for applause. They move for impact. They move with clarity, purpose, and conviction. Not for recognition, but because the mission demands it. When you operate from that place, your mental armor becomes impenetrable. You become someone who doesn't flinch when criticized, someone who doesn't need hand, holding to chase goals. Someone who's driven by inner fire, not outer noise. And that's rare. That's powerful. That's freedom. The problem is, we've been raised in a world addicted to praise. From school to social media, we're conditioned to think we're only valuable when someone else says so. That if nobody claps, our work doesn't count. That if we fail publicly, we should be embarrassed. But the truth is, you don't need a crowd to do something legendary. You just need commitment. You just need to decide that your dreams matter more than their opinions. Because the second you stop needing validation, you become dangerous. You stop asking for permission. You stop hesitating. You stop playing small. You start taking risks, making moves, showing up like a savage because you no longer fear disapproval. Look around, the most successful people in any field. They were ridiculed, doubted, mocked. They were called crazy, arrogant, unrealistic. And they didn't care, they didn't break. Why? Because they weren't chasing validation, they were chasing vision. You think greatness is built in rooms full of cheering fans. No, it's built in silence, in discipline, in isolation, in lonely hours when no one's watching and no one cares. Most people don't realize how much their environment is shaping them. You become what you surround yourself with, and that includes not just people, but information, energy, and habits. If your environment is filled with negativity, with people who complain, settle, or blame the world for their problems, then no matter how ambitious you are, that energy will infect you. Your mind is like a sponge. It absorbs what's around it. So if all you hear is doubt, fear, gossip, and excuses, don't be surprised when you start thinking the same way. That's how the war in your mind gets rigged before it even begins. You're trying to build a winning mentality while living in a losing atmosphere. It's not going to happen. You can't plant seeds of greatness in poisoned soil. You have to take extreme ownership of your environment, ruthlessly audit it. Ask yourself, who am I listening to every day? Who's in my circle? What content am I consuming? What words are being spoken around me? Are they words of power or words of weakness? Because your brain is always listening. Your subconscious is always learning. And if you let the wrong people or inputs into your space, they will rewrite your beliefs without you even realizing it. Suddenly, you're doubting yourself. Suddenly, you're procrastinating. Suddenly, you've lost the fire, not because you're weak, but because your environment has drained you. And that's how most people lose. Not from one big failure, but from daily exposure to mediocrity. If you want to win this war, you have to be militant about what surrounds you. Cut off toxic influences. Eliminate distractions. Stop letting people who haven't built anything tell you how to live. Surround yourself with killers. People with vision. People who are hungry. People who talk about ideas and execution, not people or problems. Fill your space with discipline, intensity, and clarity. Make your environment so focused that laziness feels out of place. Make your standards so high that average energy gets rejected instantly. Because when you upgrade your environment, your mindset follows. You start thinking bigger, moving faster, and demanding more from yourself. You start operating on a level where excuses can't survive. This is why isolation is powerful. Sometimes you have to disappear for a while. Go ghost. Get away from all the noise and build in silence. Not because you hate the world, but because you love your future. Give yourself the space to grow, to recalibrate, to go deep into your purpose without external interference. And when you return, you'll be sharper, more focused, more ruthless. Because you've cleaned your mind, you've cleaned your space. And now you're operating from clarity, not confusion. The war is in your mind, but the battlefield starts with what's around you. You can't build a champion's mindset in a loser's environment. Change what you allow near you, and you'll change what's possible within you. That's how you win. Not just once, but every single day.